she was working as a wedding photographer, capturing couples' most special moments. When a missing child search operation began, her aerial reconnaissance and search pattern techniques were military drone operator level. These skills aren't learned in photography school, but Rachel's background was different. Some stories unfold through a different lens, carried by those who see the world from above. Before we explore this tale of a hidden guardian of the skies, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe these quiet protectors deserve recognition, hit that subscribe button. Rachel Torres had been photographing weddings in Northern California for 8 years. Every weekend, she'd pack her cameras, her editing laptop, and her custom-built photography drone to capture the most beautiful moments of couples' lives. Her aerial shots were legendary. Sweeping vineyard vistas, dramatic coastline ceremonies, intimate garden parties from angles that took your breath away. Brides specifically requested Rachel because of her drone work. She had an eye for composition that seemed almost supernatural, finding perspectives that other photographers missed entirely. Her ability to predict wind patterns, navigate complex airspace, and capture perfect footage in challenging conditions set her apart in a competitive field. What her clients didn't know was that Rachel's drone skills came from 10 years of flying military reconnaissance missions over some of the world's most dangerous territories. From 2008 to 2018, Sergeant Rachel Torres was a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle, operator with the U.S. Air Force's 432nd Wing. She flew MQ-9 Reaper drones from Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, conducting surveillance and reconnaissance missions across Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and classified locations around the globe. Rachel's job was to be the eyes in the sky for ground forces. She would spend 12-hour shifts in a windowless container, piloting drones thousands of miles away through satellite links. Her missions included convoy protection, intelligence gathering, search and rescue coordination, and target identification for special operations. The work was technically demanding and emotionally exhausting. Rachel watched over soldiers who were younger than her little brother, tracked terrorist movements through urban areas filled with civilians, and provided overwatch for missions where split-second decisions could mean the difference between life and death for troops on the ground. Her specialty was pattern-of-life analysis, studying areas for weeks or months to understand normal activity versus suspicious behavior. Rachel could spot an IED burial from 20,000 feet, identify hostile movement patterns in complex urban environments, and coordinate multiple aircraft in contested airspace. But the psychological toll was heavy. Even though Rachel was physically safe in Nevada, she witnessed combat daily through her drone's cameras. She saw things that haunted her dreams: ambushes, explosions, casualties. The disconnect between her suburban surroundings and the war zones on her screens created a surreal kind of combat stress that few people understood. Rachel's breaking point came during a mission in 2018. She was providing overwatch for a patrol in Afghanistan when they encountered an IED. Through her drone's camera, she watched helplessly as young soldiers, some of whom she'd been protecting for months, were injured in the blast. She had seen it coming seconds too late to warn them. That night, Rachel submitted her separation papers. After 10 years of flying drones in combat, she was done with war. The transition to civilian life was harder than Rachel had expected. She had spent a decade developing skills that had no obvious civilian application. How do you explain professional drone pilot with combat experience on a resume for normal jobs? Rachel had always loved photography as a hobby, and she'd been impressed by the aerial photography she'd seen at her sister's wedding. The idea of using drones to capture joy instead of tragedy appealed to her. She bought her first consumer drone and started practicing. The technical aspects came naturally. Rachel could fly circles around any civilian drone operator, but learning to see beauty instead of threats took time. For months, Rachel found herself automatically scanning for potential dangers in her shots: suspicious vehicles, unusual activity patterns, possible escape routes. She had to consciously retrain her to look for artistic composition instead of security threats. Rachel's wedding photography business grew quickly. Her military precision in planning shots, her ability to work in any weather conditions, and her uncanny skill at capturing perfect aerial footage made her one of the most sought-after photographers in the region. For 8 years, Rachel found peace in her work. Photographing weddings was the perfect antithesis to her military service. Instead of watching for violence, she documented love. Instead of tracking enemies, she followed couples through their happiest moments. But Rachel's past was about to intersect with her present in the most unexpected way. October 14th, 2023, was supposed to be a routine Saturday. Rachel was photographing the Martinez-Chin wedding at a vineyard in Sonoma County. It was a beautiful fall day, perfect for outdoor ceremony shots and aerial vineyard footage. Rachel had just finished capturing the ceremony from her drone when her phone buzzed with an emergency alert. Amber Alert. Missing child in Sonoma County. 7-year-old Emma Rodriguez, last seen near Glen Ellen Regional Park. Immediate search assistance needed. The park was less than 5 miles from the vineyard where Rachel was working. Rachel's military instincts kicked in immediately. Missing child, rural area, large search zone needed. This was exactly the kind of mission she'd coordinated hundreds of times overseas, just with a different objective. She approached the bride and groom. "I'm so sorry, but there's a missing child emergency nearby. I need to pause our shoot to help with the search." The couple immediately understood. "Go help find that little girl. We can wait." Rachel packed her equipment and drove to Glen Ellen Regional Park, where she found a chaotic scene. Local sheriff's deputies were organizing volunteer search teams, but they were overwhelmed by the size of the search area and the complexity of the terrain. Sheriff Deputy Maria Santos was coordinating the search from a command post in the parking lot. She looked frustrated and exhausted. "Ma'am," Rachel approached her, "I'm a drone photographer. I can provide aerial search support." Deputy Santos looked skeptical. "This isn't a photo shoot. We need professional search capabilities." "Understand. I have experience with search and rescue operations. I can cover more ground from the air than a dozen ground teams." Santos was desperate enough to try anything. "Fine, but stay out of the way of our helicopter when it arrives." Rachel launched her drone and immediately began systematic search patterns that she'd learned in the military. Instead of random aerial sweeps, she divided the search area into a grid and methodically covered each section, looking for signs of a small child. Her military training kicked in completely. Rachel automatically started analyzing terrain, predicting likely movement patterns for a lost 7-year-old, and identifying high-probability search areas based on behavioral analysis she'd learned from tracking enemy personnel. After 30 minutes of searching, Rachel spotted something in her drone's camera, a flash of pink fabric near a creek about 2 miles from where Emma had last been seen. "Ground teams, this is aerial overwatch," Rachel radioed, using military terminology without thinking. "I have possible visual on target, approximately 2 clicks northwest of the main search area." Deputy Santos looked up in surprise. "Did you just say aerial overwatch?" Rachel realized she'd slipped into military communications mode. "Sorry, I think I found her." Rachel guided ground teams to the location using her drone's GPS coordinates. They found Emma Rodriguez sitting by the creek, frightened and cold, but unharmed. She had gotten turned around on a hiking trail and had been walking in the wrong direction for hours. As Emma was reunited with her frantic parents, Deputy Santos approached Rachel. "That was impressive work. Where did you learn search coordination like that?" Rachel hesitated. She'd kept her military background private from most of her civilian clients. "I have some experience with aerial operations." "What kind of experience?" "That was professional-level search pattern work." Rachel looked at the little girl hugging her parents and made a decision. 10 years Air Force drone pilot, combat reconnaissance, and search and rescue coordination. Santos' eyes widened. "You were a military drone operator?" "MQ-9 Reaper pilot, Iraq and Afghanistan. And now you photograph weddings?" Rachel smiled. "It's better to capture love than war." Word of Rachel's role in finding Emma spread quickly through the local law enforcement community. Sheriff Captain Robert Martinez called Rachel the next week. "Ms. Torres, we'd like to discuss a consulting arrangement." We could use someone with your skills for search and rescue operations. Rachel was interested but cautious. I don't want to get back into military-style operations. I left that world for a reason. This would be purely civilian search and rescue. Missing persons, natural disaster response, that kind of thing. Using your skills to help people instead of other things. Rachel agreed to help on a volunteer basis. Over the next year, she assisted with dozens of search operations, lost hikers, missing elderly persons with dementia, disaster assessment after wildfires, and coordination support for major emergency responses. Her dual life as wedding photographer and search and rescue volunteer created an interesting balance. Weekends were often split between capturing joy at weddings and helping coordinate emergency responses. Rachel found that both roles fulfilled different aspects of her need to serve. The skills she developed for combat proved invaluable in civilian emergencies. Her ability to read terrain, predict human behavior, coordinate multiple assets, and maintain situational awareness during high-stress situations made her an exceptional search coordinator. But Rachel was careful to keep these worlds separate. Her wedding clients didn't need to know about her military background, and her emergency response work didn't require dwelling on combat experiences. She had found ways to use her skills for purely positive purposes. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a psychologist who specialized in veteran transitions, once observed Rachel's work. She's achieved something remarkable, transforming skills developed for warfare into tools for rescue and celebration. The same technical abilities that once tracked enemies are now used to find lost children and capture beautiful moments. It's a perfect example of how military experience can be redirected toward purely civilian benefits. Rachel's success in both careers created new opportunities. She began training other photographers in advanced drone techniques, teaching law enforcement agencies about aerial search patterns, and consulting on emergency response protocols. The hardest part about leaving the military, Rachel would tell other veterans, is feeling like your skills don't transfer to civilian life. But they do. You just have to find creative ways to apply them. Rachel's photography business continued to thrive, with clients who appreciated not just her artistic vision, but her reliability and professionalism under pressure. When weather turned bad or equipment failed, Rachel's military background helped her adapt and deliver results when other photographers might give up. Her search and rescue work evolved too. Rachel began working with multiple counties, providing aerial support for everything from wildfire evacuations to flood response coordination. Her ability to rapidly assess large areas and identify priority zones for ground teams saved countless hours in emergency situations. The contrast between her two roles sometimes struck Rachel as profound. On Saturday, she might spend the morning photographing a wedding ceremony, capturing the moment when two people promised to build a life together. That same afternoon, she could be coordinating a search for someone's missing grandmother, using the same technical skills to reunite families in crisis. Both roles involved protecting what people valued most: their relationships, their safety, their hope for the future. Rachel realized that her work, whether artistic or emergency response, was fundamentally about service to her community. 5 years after finding Emma Rodriguez, Rachel received a high school graduation announcement. Emma had written a personal note. "Thank you for finding me when I was lost. I want to study emergency management in college because of what you showed me that day." Rachel kept the card on her desk as a reminder of why she'd chosen to transform her military experience into civilian service. The skills she'd learned for war had become tools for rescue, protection, and celebration of life's most precious moments. Today, Rachel still photographs weddings every weekend, still launches her drone to capture love stories from impossible angles. But now everyone in her community knows that their wedding photographer is also their guardian angel in the sky, ready to launch search operations when someone needs finding. Her drone footage appears in two very different contexts: beautiful wedding videos that couples treasure forever, and emergency response documentation that helps save lives. Same technology, same pilot, completely different missions. Rachel Torres found peace not by forgetting her military training, but by transforming it into something that serves life instead of death. She proved that the most technical skills can be repurposed for the most human purposes, and that sometimes the best way to heal from war is to use your warrior skills to protect what matters most. Her story shows that veterans don't have to choose between using their military experience and living peaceful civilian lives. Sometimes the greatest service comes from finding ways to apply exceptional training to ordinary human needs, like finding lost children and capturing moments of joy. When couples look at their wedding photos and see those impossible aerial shots that take their breath away, they're looking at art created by someone who once used the same skills to watch over soldiers in combat zones. The steady hands, the precise timing, the ability to see patterns from above, all transformed from tools of war into instruments of love. So I ask you, have you ever encountered someone whose extraordinary skills in one area revealed unexpected expertise from their past? Someone who transformed challenging experiences into beautiful service for others? Share their story in the comments, because these quiet guardians use their unique backgrounds to serve in ways we rarely recognize. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, subscribe to see more tales of extraordinary people who transform their most intense experiences into service for others. We'll see you in the next one.